Hey everybody, it's Fairy Kid Sunday coming at you from hookahpro.com. Today we're doing kind of a how to set up your hookah from start to pulling your first smoke. Now I did cheat a little bit. I've got my coals started over there sitting on the stove going quite nicely. We're using John's Chronic Hookah coals today. Got 3 of them and actually they're about ready for their flip. So with coals, you gotta remember, they gotta be nice and gray all the way through. If they're not, you're gonna get sick. Alright, today we've got a vortex bowl, a blend that I made up myself with all my little jars, because, yeah, I gotta admit, I got sucked into the blend off. We got some pre-cut foils. I went ahead and pulled one out of the box, and we have a safety pin. Now, I use a safety pin for reasons that you'll see in a few minutes. So, alright. You guys should still be able to see me. We're going to take the vortex bowl, and I know it looks a little bit filthy, but that's because I started to pack a bowl and then I realized might as well videotape it. Alright, we're going to put all this little, very gently mixed tobacco into the vortex bowl, and because I'm trying to get a mix together for the blend off, this is actually pre-measured out. Basically, when you pack a bowl, you want to go for, you know, depending on what kind of bowl it is how many grams you should be aiming for, but all in all, it should be fairly loose and fluffy. Alright, let me rinse my hands off. Alright, but what we're looking at here is, I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but it's just in there nice and fluffy. You know, it's not packed down or anything. You can still see the holes in the vortex bowl, but it didn't get pressed down or anything. I'm just making sure it's not touching like the tops around the edge so that it doesn't come in contact with the foil. Alright. I know I'm not going to tell you what flavors are in this. It's my little secret. But you want to make sure that the tobacco is nice, loose, and fluffy, because if you pack it down in there too tight, bad things can happen. Of course, for some brands, that is necessary. I know for Tangiers, some people like to pack it as tight as they can possibly get it. Basically, whatever brand you're going for is what kind of packing procedure you need. I'm using Hookah, so nice and fluffy. Alright, we got our foil here. Alright, shiny on one side, not shiny on the other. We're going to use the not shiny side up, so that's just my personal preference. Now, I lay my foil over the bowl, and then I grab it by all 4 corners and kind of pull down, so I've got this outline of the bowl going. And then I put my hand over the top and just kind of pull downwards, like that. And we get a nice, tight drum. Alright, you may have to pull downwards a couple of times, but basically you don't want to have any really bad hills and valleys going on. And then you're going to take your safety pin. And what you're going to do here is just, well, the way I do it is I just poke little holes and go around in a circle like that. And then once I complete the circle, make another one. Kind of like a spiral. Now, it doesn't have to be pretty, but it doesn't necessarily have to be this messy. But if I leave really big gaps in here like that, I'll just go back, poke a couple extra holes, just to make sure I got that extra. Alright. Now, I'm going to have to cut tape here, because I got to get everything over to where I'm smoking at. First rule, kiddies, never handle a live video camera while transporting coals. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay kids, we are back. We have changed locations, but that's because we're getting ready to smoke. So, what we got going on is, I don't know if you guys can see this very well, we have a KM Algia. You can't really see the base very good because it's sitting on a piece of black aluminum, but I went ahead and put it together. The base is filled to about 1.5 inches above the bottom of the stem with water. Went ahead and put the stem into the vase. Got the grommet in there, it's nice and wet with the water. Went ahead and put the hose into the hose port. Got a grommet on there. You know, it's real nice, doesn't mess up your hose tips. Alright, I set my coals in my tray because I don't have a cold carrier, but we've got another grommet on top of the stem where our head's going to go. So we take the bowl, or the head as I like to call it, because a lot of people get it mixed up, and just press it nice and firmly there onto the top. Now with my Algia, it's got a slight lean to it because the vase isn't correctly blown, like it's kind of teeter-tottery, kind of like that. So I got to make sure it's perfectly level or else my coals will fall off. And then we're going to take our coals and just very gently place them on top of there. Now I use 2 coals to start when I'm using Hookah, and I set them in this nice, sort of opposites pattern. And then once it gets started, coals start dying down, I just go ahead and move one of them over, grab this third one that's sitting down in the tray, because it'll ash at the same rate, and put it up there along with it in kind of a triangle. Now notice, these coals are completely ashed over. There's no black left on them. That's just, dust that's coming off. And you can see the red coming through the gray. So you got to have those completely ashed over, otherwise we get the nasty carbon monoxide poisoning, and it's bad for everybody. So alright, we've got our coals, we're ready to go. I set my tongs on top of the stand because it's just easier than sitting on the couch. Alright, now we've got the hose all put together, hooked in, and alright, when you first pull, I don't clean my hookah quite as often as I should. So I always purge before I do anything else. So just to make sure there's nothing left in there. So we're going to start smoking in this first pull. You got to be gentle because you don't know quite how it's going yet. See, no smoke. I usually pull until I see smoke in the vase because I've got a clear vase. Well, clear blue, same difference. But looks like today we may actually have to put the third coal on early. It's a bit chilly in here, and I don't have my wing cover, so that might be why. So let's try that. Alright, we got a little bit of smoke going there. Okay, it's starting up real slow. It is really chilly in here, but that's how you set up your hookah. And yeah, next time we may be doing how to clean a hookah, or we may be doing how to break down a hookah. I don't know yet. So alright, I will check you guys later. This is Fairy Kitsune coming at you from hookahpro.com. Make sure to check it out. It's the greatest hookah forum on the net, and I ain't just bluffing. It is. Go Sambuca. Alright, later y'all.